It gives me great pleasure to introduce the valedictorian of the class of 2017, Connor Wetz.
Good evening. I would like to start by telling you about an experience I'm sure many of us have had in Haverhill High. You're walking down the hall, no pass, and you hear the radio crackle behind you. It's Steinberg. You throw a glance behind your shoulder. Steinberg notices and quickens his pace. He's closing in. You dive into the bathroom, safe. As I stand here on the brink of graduation, this exciting evasion seems, in all honesty, pretty insignificant. My imminent departure into the real world has put into perspective what really matters. At a time when compassion in human relations is dwarfed by the selfishness of so many people, our attitude about how life should be will greatly affect our future and the future of the world. And although Haverhill High has undoubtedly given us skills to help us choose the right perspective on life and to navigate through challenges, I stand here today with a feeling that many of us are going to leave more uncertain and more unprepared than ever. Not only is this a turbulent time for us as we struggle to find our identity, but disorder marks how our world functions around us. The increasingly divided political rhetoric of our time has brought a new paradigm of political unhappiness in our country. And in the world at large, populism and extremism foster hate and conflict instead of cooperation and conciliation. Our generation has drawn criticism for its selfishness and isolation, and why not? We are products of our environment, after all, and our reality is a post-9/11, consumer-driven, conflict-studded world. This, coupled with the vicious partisanship and anonymity of the internet, has taught us that it is okay to shelter ourselves and blame the other for our woes. Now, more than ever, isolation is becoming a familiar term. When we are alone, we lose our connection to ourselves. And when we are alone, we lose our connection to each other. But despite how prevalent this isolation is around and within us today, I have seen a quality just as prevalent that gives me hope that the trap of isolation may have a release in compassion. That quality is empathy. I have seen empathy in the mothers and fathers and guardians who have sacrificed their sleep and their dreams and everything but their love to put us where we are today. I have seen empathy in the classmates and siblings who go out and work not for themselves, but to help pay the rent or support their families without complaint. I have seen empathy in the teachers who have given us their time in spite of their families and their need for sleep, and who practice patience in the littlest of ways every day. And I have seen empathy among us, from taking the time to hold a door, to remembering birthdays, to saying I love you, whether it be with actions or words. Empathy is a practice both tiny and enormous. And yet, I want to challenge everyone here, because although I see empathy every day, I do not see the commitment to embrace the unfamiliar that marks true empathetic practice. Empathy gets harder than holding a door. It gets harder for me when I learn why someone across the world would want me dead because I am an American. It gets harder for me when I learn why my two grandfathers could not get legally married for 25 years. It gets harder for me when I learn of the unearned advantages that come to me as a white, middle-class, straight, and able male. Empathy is going to get tougher, although I know for many it already has. Everyone has their own obstacles to empathy, but I believe that the root of these challenges is fear. What do you fear? Whatever fear you may have, empathy can be the solution. No matter what you envision for a better world, happiness, freedom, equality, love, the common denominator of change that can make this dream a reality is empathy. To abandon selfishness and think in terms of the human race is empathy. For me, it means not to forget, but to forgive the terrorist. For me, it means to open my heart to those of different religions and political ideologies. For me, and many others here, it means to listen to the experiences of women, of people of color, of the poor, and say, what can I do to help? Find what empathy means to you, and start now, because although it may be the hardest step towards a world of good, I know it must be the first. We are gathered here today with an amazing, untapped potential to change the world. Every one of you will go out and determine the course of your lives individually, but together we will shape the future. So no matter where we go from here, let us shape the future with empathy. Let us shape the future with kindness. Let us shape the future into the best and brightest world we have ever seen. Thank you.
That's the script. Connor.